Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my channel. Let me begin by saying, it's not always what we say that shapes our lives, but often, it's what we choose not to say. There is a quiet strength in silence. And in today's world, fast-paced, noisy, and filled with opinions, it's easy to forget the power of simply keeping quiet. But let me tell you, silence isn't weakness. Silence is wisdom. It's strategy. And yes, silence, when used well, can make everything flow in your favor in a world where everyone seems eager to speak. Those who master the art of silence naturally stand out. Silence, when used deliberately, carries a certain power that words sometimes lack. It's not about being passive or withdrawn. Rather, it's about choosing your moments wisely. When you choose to speak only when necessary, your words tend to carry more weight. People start to listen more closely, not just because of what you're saying, but because you don't speak often. That rarity creates value. Just like a rare gem commands attention, a well-timed word from a quiet individual commands respect. Silence allows others to reveal themselves. When you're not constantly filling the space with your own opinions or stories, you give others the room to speak, and in doing so, they often tell you more than they intended. You learn more by observing than by interrupting. In business meetings, negotiations, or personal conversations, silence can become your advantage. It allows you to gauge the temperature of the room, understand people's motivations, and see beyond the surface. You begin to notice the subtle signs: hesitation, nervousness, conviction. These are the things you miss when you're too busy talking. Influence isn't just about being heard, it's about being trusted. And trust is built on perception. When you practice silence, people perceive you as thoughtful, deliberate, and in control. You become the person others turn to for measured advice, not emotional outbursts. The restraint you show becomes a silent signal of strength. In moments of conflict, those who remain calm and composed tend to take the lead, not because they raise their voices, but because they don't. Silence gives you the space to choose your response instead of reacting impulsively. Silence also removes the need to prove yourself. When you're secure in your identity and your purpose, you no longer feel compelled to constantly justify your worth. That quiet confidence is magnetic. People are drawn to those who seem to know who they are without broadcasting it. They trust you more because you don't feel the need to dominate every conversation. In fact, some of the most powerful individuals speak the least, but when they do, people listen. It's important to understand that silence is not a void, it's a tool. It's not what you lack, it's what you choose to hold. When used with intention, it builds your influence in ways that loudness never can. It shows self-mastery, patience, and emotional intelligence. And these are traits that attract respect, open doors, and strengthen relationships. So the next time you feel the urge to jump into a conversation, pause. The power of silence lies in knowing that you don't always need to speak to be heard, and that true influence is often felt long before a word is spoken. One of the most overlooked benefits of silence is how deeply it protects your personal energy. In our daily lives, we are constantly surrounded by noise. Not just literal noise, but emotional, mental, and social noise. People speak without thinking, argue over trivial things, and react to everything. But the person who learns to remain silent in the midst of that chaos gains a significant advantage. They conserve their inner strength. Energy is not infinite. It's something you spend with every interaction, every word, and every reaction. And most people waste it on things that don't matter. Every time you respond to something that doesn't require your input, you give away a little bit of yourself. When someone says something irritating or disrespectful, your silence is not surrender, it's control. It's a choice to stay grounded instead of allowing someone else to dictate your emotional state. Reacting to every offense, every rumor, or every disagreement might feel satisfying in the moment, but it drains you. Silence, on the other hand, creates space. It gives you a buffer between stimulus and response. That space is where wisdom grows. There's a kind of peace that comes when you stop needing to engage with every situation. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every challenge is worth confronting. When you remain silent, especially in emotionally charged moments, you give yourself time to assess the situation clearly. You protect your focus and keep your mind sharp. This doesn't mean you're weak or avoiding confrontation. It means you're choosing your battles wisely, and in doing so, you conserve your energy for things that truly matter. Silence is also a form of emotional discipline. It requires strength to hold back, especially when you feel provoked. But that strength becomes a shield. You're less likely to say something you'll regret, less likely to escalate a problem, and far more likely to maintain your composure. That composure is valuable. It allows you to stay productive and centered, even when the world around you is chaotic. And that's when you become truly powerful, not because you've dominated someone else, but because you've mastered yourself in relationships, in business, and in daily interactions. Your ability to remain calm and quiet under pressure creates a powerful impression. People begin to recognize that you don't waste your time or your words. They see that you're in control of your emotions, and that control builds respect. You stop reacting to life and begin responding to it, with intention. Ultimately, silence is not just about the absence of noise, it's about presence. It's about choosing where your energy goes and what it supports. When you protect your energy through silence, you give yourself a chance to recharge, to think clearly, and to act with purpose. And when your actions come from a place of clarity rather than chaos, life begins to flow more smoothly, more favorably, and with far less resistance. There is a quiet wisdom in realizing that we learn more when we speak less. In many conversations, people are eager to jump in, share their thoughts, prove their intelligence, or offer advice. But the person who listens more than they speak gains a deeper understanding, not just of the words being said, but of the emotions, intentions, and meaning behind them. Silence is not a void to be filled. It is a space where learning takes place. It's in that space that growth begins, because silence opens your mind to receive instead of rushing to deliver. When you are silent, you shift your focus from output to input. You stop thinking about what to say next and begin truly hearing what others are saying. This kind of listening is rare, and it's powerful. You start to notice patterns, pick up on subtle cues, and grasp the nuances that most people miss. You see the full picture instead of just fragments, and from that place of observation, you gain insight, not just about the subject at hand, but about people, processes, and even yourself. Think of the most effective leaders, teachers, or mentors you've encountered. They often aren't the ones who talk the most. They are the ones who ask questions, who pause, who wait, and who watch. They let others reveal their thinking, and through that process, they gather valuable information. Silence allows you to become a student in every situation. Whether you're in a meeting, a classroom, or simply having a conversation, your silence becomes a tool for absorbing knowledge that is easily lost when you're too busy speaking. Even in moments of disagreement or conflict, silence offers a unique form of learning. Instead of reacting defensively or emotionally, staying quiet helps you understand the other person's perspective. You begin to see not just what they're saying, but why they're saying it. That awareness gives you the power to respond with intelligence instead of instinct. You begin to learn about human nature, emotional patterns, and how people operate under pressure. This kind of learning doesn't come from books. It comes from presence. Silence also creates internal space for reflection. After you listen, you need time to process. When you are silent, your mind has room to sort through what you've heard, to connect it with your existing knowledge, and to form new ideas. Many of the greatest innovations and breakthroughs come not during loud debates, but in the quiet moments of reflection that follow. Silence helps knowledge sink in. It's the difference between skimming the surface and diving deep. Ultimately, silence sharpens your mind. It helps you become a better communicator, a wiser decision maker, and a more thoughtful human being. It teaches you patience, presence, and humility. And in a world that constantly encourages us to speak, share, and project, choosing silence is not just a sign of restraint, it's a powerful path to wisdom. In silence, you become a student of life, and life, in turn, becomes your greatest teacher. The way a person handles silence, especially in difficult or emotionally charged situations, says a great deal about their inner discipline and character. Anyone can speak in moments of calm, but it takes self-control to remain silent when provoked. That pause, that restraint, is often a more powerful display of strength than any argument or defense could ever be. When you choose not to react impulsively, when you hold your tongue in the face of insult or misunderstanding, you're not just avoiding conflict. You're demonstrating that you're in control of your self-discipline is not always about what you do. Sometimes it's about what you don't do. Not every situation needs your input. Not every provocation deserves a reply, and not every challenge must be met with force. Silence becomes a form of emotional discipline. It shows that you've taken time to master your responses, that your emotions do not run your life, and that you can hold your peace when everything inside you wants to speak. That's a rare kind of power. The kind that earns respect without demanding it. Character, too, is revealed in silence. It's in those moments when you choose not to speak badly about someone, even if they've spoken badly about you. It's in your ability to keep confidence, to avoid gossip, and to stay humble in your achievements. Silence in these moments doesn't mean you're passive. It means you hold yourself to a higher standard. It shows integrity. A person of character doesn't need to boast, defend, or retaliate. Their presence speaks for them. Their actions, not their words, define them. Silence is especially revealing during conflict. When tempers flare and voices rise, the person who stays calm and quiet immediately stands apart. Their silence de-escalates the situation. It communicates, without saying a word, that they are not ruled by chaos or emotion. That kind of composure is a sign of maturity. It's the result of practiced patience, of understanding the long game. People of character know that winning an argument is not as important as maintaining self-respect and peace of mind. In silence, you are able to reflect before responding. You give yourself time to choose words that heal rather than harm. You demonstrate that you value clarity over reaction, and in doing so, you earn the trust of others. They see that you're not impulsive, not reckless, not driven by ego. They see a person who thinks before they act, and who has the courage to let their silence speak louder than any defense. Ultimately, silence reveals what kind of person you really are when no one is watching and when emotions are high. It is the mark of someone who has developed deep self-awareness and values principles over pride. And in a world where noise often drowns out substance, that kind of quiet strength doesn't just stand out, it inspires. Because true discipline and character don't need to be announced. They are felt, seen, and respected. Even in silence. In the fast pace of modern life, clarity is often sacrificed to noise. There is a constant rush to speak, to act, to decide, without taking the time to pause and think. But in silence, clarity begins to form. When you remove the distractions of constant chatter, background noise, and mental clutter, you allow your mind to settle, and in that stillness, what was once confusing begins to make sense. Thoughts become organized, emotions become more understandable, priorities become sharper. Silence doesn't just quiet the world around you. It organizes the world within you. It's in moments of silence that we often hear the most important things. A decision you've been wrestling with begins to reveal its answer. An idea you've been chasing becomes suddenly clear. Silence opens up the space for your inner voice to be heard, the voice of intuition, reason, and wisdom that often gets drowned out in the noise of everyday life. When you're quiet, you hear not just what others are saying, but also what you truly feel and believe. That kind of internal clarity can be the difference between reaction and thoughtful action. Silence also allows you to step back from situations and gain perspective. In the heat of a moment, emotions blur your thinking, But when you choose silence, you remove yourself from the storm. You create distance, and from that distance, you can see more clearly, whether it's a conflict, a relationship, a business decision, or a personal goal. Instead of being consumed by the immediate, silence allows you to consider the long term. It gives you the clarity to choose wisely, not just quickly beyond clarity. Silence also creates the conditions for opportunity. It helps you become more observant, more attuned to what's going on around you. When you're not constantly talking or mentally preparing your next comment, you begin to notice the details, the unspoken needs of others, the subtle shifts in the environment, the timing of events. These observations often lead to insight, and insight leads to opportunity. Whether it's a chance to help, a moment to act, or an idea to pursue, silence allows you to see openings that others miss. Opportunities rarely shout. They often whisper, and only a quiet mind can hear them. Moreover, people are drawn to those who bring calm and clarity into situations. When you're the one who remains silent while others panic, you become a grounding presence. Others look to you for guidance, not because you have all the answers, but because your silence creates a space for answers to emerge. You become a person of presence, someone who leads not by dominating, but by observing, understanding, and acting at the right time. In the end, silence is not about doing nothing. It's about preparing yourself to do the right thing. It clears the fog, aligns your actions with your purpose, and opens doors that only a clear and quiet mind can see. In silence, both clarity and opportunity find you, not because you chase them, but because you became still enough to receive them. Thank you for watching this video. I hope these insights on the power of silence have inspired you to pause, reflect, and tap into the quiet strength that lives within you. Remember, sometimes it's not about saying more, but about saying less and meaning more. Until next time, stay mindful, stay grounded, and let silence work in your favor.